Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's program. I am Tang Jingyuan. You must watch this episode until the very end, because what we are discussing today is not a single piece of news, but three explosive threads unfolding simultaneously: a crackdown in the financial sector, the collapse within the military-industrial complex, and the emergence of a successor figure. If you put these three developments together, you will see a deeply alarming picture, one in which Zhongnanhai may have already entered a state of emergency. If you are following this topic, please click subscribe and turn on the notification bell, selecting all notifications so you do not miss future episodes. In today's program, we are going to examine an event that appears on the surface to be anti-corruption, but which in reality may be shaking the very core of the Chinese Communist Party's power structure. To summarize it in one sentence, this is not about arresting a single official. It is about wielding the knife directly against the financial lifeline of the regime, and this knife is very likely aimed at one person in particular, Wang Qishan. On March 24th, the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection of the Chinese Communist Party suddenly announced that Zhou Liang, deputy director of the National Financial Regulatory Administration, had been placed under investigation. Many people's first reaction was, another financial official has fallen. But the real question is, who exactly is Zhou Liang? He is not an ordinary cadre. He served as Wang Qishan's personal secretary for 21 years. In the Chinese Communist Party system, a person in this position plays a very specific role. In one sentence, he is not merely an assistant, he is a shadow. He does not simply know things, he participates in them, executes them, and even handles matters that cannot see the light of day. Therefore, when Zhou Liang falls, it is not just one individual who is taken down. An entire line of connection has been severed. Around the same time as Zhou Liang's downfall, another piece of information began circulating within informed circles. China's well-known economist Ba Shuesong has disappeared and lost contact. Pay close attention to the timing. Ba Shuesong was reportedly taken away around mid-March, even earlier than Zhou Liang. These two individuals share one key commonality. Both have deep connections to Wang Qishan. One was his longtime personal secretary, the other an important economist within the financial system. Independent commentator Kai Shenkun has revealed that Ba Shuesong once helped Wang Qishan handle large sums of funds. This is no coincidence. This is a targeted cleanup. Many will ask, why is Xi Jinping moving against the financial sector at this moment? The answer is actually quite simple. Because there is no money left. China's current economic situation can be described in one sentence. On the surface, it is still operating, but at the foundational level, it is suffering severe hemorrhage. Local governments are short of money, state-owned enterprises are short of money, and even maintaining basic operations is becoming difficult. Under these circumstances, the financial system has become what? The regime's blood transfusion line. Whoever controls finance controls the lifeline. Many assume that Wang Qishan has already retired and no longer wields influence. But in reality, real power does not lie on the stage. It lies in the network of personal relationships. Wang Qishan's greatest strength over the past several decades has been the extensive network of personnel he has planted throughout the financial system. Bank presidents, regulatory officials, economists, and even some corporate executives. These people form an invisible web. What is the function of this web? It is to control and mobilize capital. When money is needed, someone helps you obtain it. When silence is required, someone helps you enforce it. When market operations are necessary, someone helps you execute them. This is the most formidable asset. Let us return to Zhou Liang. Many people underestimate his value. According to sources cited by Jintao Pai'an, insiders describe Zhou Liang as possessing a photographic memory for financial data. During meetings, he could casually recite precise statistics down to the single digit. On one occasion, he immediately corrected a department head's report on data from 6 months earlier, leaving everyone present stunned. In truth, Zhou Liang's memory was not limited to financial figures. He was smooth and sophisticated in his dealings with people and skilled at cultivating relationships. From local governments to the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection and then to the financial regulatory system, every transfer was accompanied by an expansion of his personal network. A person close to him once remarked, "He is very good at handling affairs and is a classic nice guy in officialdom who gets along well with everyone." That is not all. Zhou Liang deeply understood discipline, rules, and the ways of supervision. He was also well aware that he held critical authority over the approval of financial institutions, risk regulation, and industry standards. While positioned as a guardian protecting the people's money bags and preventing financial risks, the key point is that Zhou Liang had worked in the disciplinary inspection system for many years and was intimately familiar with the routines of anti-corruption operations. The former Zhou Liang was well versed in policy processes and core decision-making mechanisms and had accumulated invisible power far exceeding his formal position. This process was built up through close confidential conversations with Wang Qishan. Zhou Liang had no prominent family background. He rose from grassroots origins. In the same year he obtained his master's degree in economics at age 24, he became a member of the Chinese Communist Party. In 1996, at age 25, he entered the system and, benefiting from the rule giving priority to party members, was assigned directly to miscellaneous duties in the General Office of the Guangdong provincial government. In 1997, Wang Qishan was transferred from his position as president of China Construction Bank to serve as a member of the Guangdong Provincial Party Standing Committee. The astute Wang Qishan quickly took notice of Zhou Liang. Zhou Liang was skilled at writing formal official documents and understood economics. Wang Qishan was visibly pleased and soon brought Zhou Liang into his inner circle, making him his personal secretary. What does this mean? Zhou Liang himself was a mobile safe. What it contained was not merely data, but the secrets of the privileged class, including financial information related to Wang Qishan and even the Wen Jiabao family. Therefore, you can see a critical issue. Arresting Zhou Liang is not simply about removing a person. It is about seizing the key. In 2012, when Wang Qishan took up the position of Secretary of the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection to lead the anti-corruption campaign, he brought Zhou Liang along. At least in part, this was because he needed Zhou Liang's exceptional memory to recall the background of every official, every past event, and all the confidential matters. Zhou Liang rose from a full division-level secretary to become the youngest vice-ministerial-level official in the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection. Wang Qishan's repayment was unambiguous. From Deputy Secretary General of the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection to Executive Deputy Minister of its Organization Department, the personnel power and control over the disciplinary inspection system rested in Zhou Liang's hands. This department is responsible for building leadership teams within the disciplinary inspection and supervision system and for the selection and appointment of officials. It is truly the official who manages officials. Du Wen, former legal advisor to Hu Chunhua and an Inner Mongolia official, stated that Zhou Liang was a successful secretary. However, rising from an ordinary section-level secretary by following a single leader all the way to vice-ministerial rank over 30 years of personal attachment, while it may appear to be trust, it is in fact a binding. While it may appear to be promotion, in reality it turns the person into a potential scapegoat. Once the main line encounters trouble, the secondary line cannot survive. So why is Xi Jinping moving against these people now? There is only one core reason, a sense of insecurity, especially after the Zhang Yuxia incident. It is widely believed outside China that Zhang Yuxia's problems may involve support from the elder faction. Therefore, the essence of this current round of actions is, in one sentence, cutting off lines of communication. Independent commentator Kai Shenkun stated that Zhou Liang was the last remaining old subordinate of Wang Qishan, and Xi Jinping wants to eliminate him completely, roots and all. When Wang Qishan stepped down, he reportedly pleaded with Xi Jinping twice on behalf of his people, promising not to interfere in any political affairs and asking Xi to show mercy. Xi Jinping reportedly agreed to Wang Qishan's request in person. The problem arose during this year's Spring Festival period when Wang Qishan arranged for someone to meet with Zhou Liang. This violated Xi Jinping's major taboo. Xi Jinping demanded that Wang Qishan's connections with all his former subordinates be severed, and especially prohibited any meetings. Particularly after Xi Jinping took down Zhang Yuxia, he has offended nearly all the Red Second Generation, Military Second Generation, and Elder factions. Xi Jinping fears that the few remaining full Politburo-level figures who still pose a threat to him might form alliances, primarily to guard against Wang Qishan and Zheng Qinghong. Some netizens lamented that during the 1997 Asian financial crisis, the Guangdong provincial government of the Chinese Communist Party specially established a high-level coordination group for disposing of financial risks in local, small and medium-sized financial institutions and rural credit cooperatives. Wang Qishan, as the person in charge, assembled a super team in finance. Among them were Zhou Liang, then president of the Guangzhou branch of the People's Bank of China, Dong Hong, then director of the Guangdong Provincial Government Development Research Center, Tian Huiyu, Wang Qishan's secretary when he was in charge of China Construction Bank, and the most core confidential secretary in the provincial government compound. Now, all members of old Wang's financial super team have fallen. Du Wen stated that after stepping down, Wang Qishan has not completely retired into leisure. It is said that he still wields enormous, unquestioned influence among his old subordinates in the financial system. And where does China's greatest risk currently lie? In finance. Wang Qishan understands very clearly that finance is the Achilles heel of both Xi Jinping and the Chinese Communist Party. Zhou Liang, as deputy director of the National Financial Regulatory Administration, was precisely positioned at this Achilles heel. This was a strategic arrangement at a critical node. Once the financial system loses control, it is not merely a matter of individual officials falling, it becomes a question of the entire regime's stability and whether Xi Jinping can continue to hold on. Against this backdrop, anyone in the financial system who possesses influence and is not fully controlled by the current power core will be viewed as a potential risk. As Wang Qishan's proxy, Zhou Liang was exactly positioned at this critical point. Moreover, former CCP elder Hu Jintao had shown favor and promotion to Wang Qishan. Therefore, moving against Zhou Liang is in effect directly and completely cutting off a potential liaison and influence line in the financial system connected to Hu Jintao and Wang Qishan. But the matter does not end there. If this were merely a technical cleanup, could it not have been handled discreetly? He could have been transferred to another position, given an idle post in the National People's Congress or the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, and that would have sufficed. There was no need to take the step of officially announcing his investigation and arrest, nor was there any necessity to handle Wang Qishan's associates in such a concentrated manner at this particular time. In reality, Xi Jinping is sending a clear message to the outside world. Wang Qishan, your era has ended. I can pick off your people one by one. Everything about you is under my control. You had better behave yourself and be careful. One day, if I am not happy, I can finish you off. Second, this is a signal to the entire system and to the CCP elders behind Wang Qishan, those who may constitute checks on Xi Jinping's regime, that even the core confidant of the former chief enforcer has no safety boundary. No one is safe. At present, Wang Qishan already appears to be in a precarious position. In the future, Wang Qishan may become the next Zhou Yongkang. Commentator Zuo Tengpeng believes that Xi Jinping will not put Wang Qishan on trial. The reasons are, first, Wang Qishan has already retired and poses no threat to him. Second, Wang Qishan is also half a member of the Red family. Third, prosecuting a former secretary of the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection would be the greatest irony of his own anti-corruption policy. Therefore, regarding Wang Qishan, Xi would rather grant him death in private than openly prosecute him. The biggest move by Xi Jinping this year has been the purge of the Chinese Communist Party's military-industrial system. This is inseparable from the strikes carried out by the United States and Israel against Iran. The so-called world-class Chinese Communist Party air defense system showed almost no reaction in actual combat. The missile system was suppressed to the point where launching was difficult, and the radar system was directly paralyzed by electronic warfare. In other words, the military-industrial myth that had been touted for more than a decade has been completely shattered. Xi Jinping is furious because the Chinese Communist Party's military-industrial apparatus is not merely a military issue. It also represents three things. 1. Regime security, 2. External deterrence, and 3. Internal propaganda. Now, the moment it faces real combat, everything has been exposed. So what would Xi Jinping think? This is not a technical problem, but rather that someone has been deceiving him, and it is not a small deception. It is a fraud involving hundreds of billions or even trillions of yuan. Therefore, what we are seeing next is a rectification campaign. Recently, a very strange phenomenon has emerged. The websites of the Chinese Academy of Sciences and the Chinese Academy of Engineering have begun deleting large numbers of people. And these are not ordinary individuals. Who are they? They are the core figures of the military-industrial system. Yang Wei, chief designer of the J-20, Wu Manqing, a core figure in the radar system, nuclear weapons expert Zhou Liang, missile expert Wei Yiyin. These individuals almost represent the top tier of the entire military-industrial system. Now they have collectively disappeared. This is extremely rare in the history of the Chinese Communist Party. There is even more shocking exposure. The aircraft carrier, which cost more than 400 billion yuan, cannot form actual combat capability. The J-20 was detected by its own radar, raising doubts about its stealth capability. The air defense system was wiped out in overseas battlefields, and when the nuclear arsenal was bombed, it surprisingly did not detonate. What does this represent? In one sentence, it is not backwardness, it is systemic fraud. So the question arises, why has this purge extended to Ma Xingrui? Because he comes from the aerospace system, having served as general manager of the China Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation, vice minister of the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, and a core figure in national defense science and technology industry. In plain terms, he is an insider of the inner circle of the military-industrial system. Moreover, and more critically, he has been regarded as Xi Jinping's first confidant in the military-industrial system. On March 24th, an ex-platform blogger, Sino-Japanese political and economic commentary President Liu, posted and revealed Ma Xingrui's foolish wife transferred $1 million overseas through the head of a certain listed company, leaving traces. As soon as that boss was taken in, he confessed everything, solidifying the case. It is reported that Ma Xingrui's wife is named Rong Li. In November 2025, overseas commentator Jiang Wangjing disclosed on the X platform. On the evening of November 18, 2025, Politburo member Ma Xingrui and his wife Rong Li were taken away overnight by Li Xinran, member of the Standing Committee and Secretary General of the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection. Jiang Wangjing stated that Rong Li is a close friend of Xi Jinping's wife Peng Liyuan. During Ma Xingrui's tenure as Guangdong Provincial Party Committee Deputy Secretary, Shenzhen Municipal Party Committee Secretary, Guangdong Provincial Governor and Party Secretary of the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, Rong Li used the name of her close friend Peng Liyuan to amass wealth everywhere. Rong Li transferred more than 70 billion yuan through Hong Kong to family funds belonging to their daughter and son-in-law in Canada, as well as to accounts in a family office in Singapore. This means it is not a single transaction problem, but a long-term systematic transfer of assets. The military-industrial issue is no longer a technical problem, it is a systemic problem. When a system sustains its glory through fraud, covers up failures with propaganda, and exchanges corruption for loyalty, the inevitable result is that the moment real combat occurs, everything collapses. And now, this result has begun to manifest. On March 22nd, the Chinese Communist Party officially announced a personnel appointment. Jin Lei was transferred from Sichuan to Shenzhen to serve as Shenzhen Municipal Party Committee Secretary. On the surface, this appears normal. In the Chinese Communist Party system, cross-provincial transfers and experience in key cities are standard procedures. But the problem is that 2 days later, public opinion suddenly shifted, because Canadian pro-democracy leader Sheng Shui learned from Mr. X that Jin Lei is the son of Xi Jinping's mother Qi Xin's younger sister. In other words, Jin Lei is Xi Jinping's cousin. This claim has not been officially confirmed, but you must understand that in the Chinese Communist Party system, there is an unwritten rule. Many of the most critical things are never publicly acknowledged. Therefore, once this family line is raised, it itself has already become a political signal. If Jin Lei is indeed Xi Jinping's relative, then the nature of this appointment has completely changed. It is no longer about appointing talent, it is about appointing one's own family member. Because Shenzhen occupies a very special position. It is one of the most important economic cities in the country, with extremely high political status, and has historically served as a springboard for high-level promotion. Look at the past several Shenzhen Municipal Party Committee secretaries, Zhang Gaoli, Li Hongzhong, Xu Qin. Almost all of them advanced steadily upward. Therefore, Shenzhen is not an endpoint, but a preparatory zone. And most importantly, Shenzhen is a major base where Xi Jinping's family power is concentrated and economically extended. Now look at Jin Lei himself. You will find that his resume is extremely standard. A technical bureaucrat by origin with a financial background and long-term experience in the development and reform system. He spent 26 years in Henan and 7 years in Sichuan and served as head of the provincial organization department. This path is almost tailor-made for cultivating high-level cadres. But the problem lies precisely here. Being too standard makes it seem as if it has been deliberately designed. There is also one very critical detail. Jin Lei is currently neither a full member nor an alternate member of the Central Committee, yet he has directly taken the position of Shenzhen Municipal Party Committee Secretary. This was relatively rare in the past. The normal path would be first enter the Central Committee, then take charge of an important city, and then advance further. But he has skipped a step. This has led many to begin suspecting whether there is invisible acceleration. So the question arises, why is Xi Jinping taking this step now? The key is that the situation has changed. From the purge in the military to financial turbulence to turbulence in the local officialdom, the entire system has in fact begun to show signs of instability. Especially after the Zhang Yuxia incident, Xi Jinping's support within the party, government and military has been questioned by the outside world as showing cracks. In such circumstances, what is most important? It is not development but control. In the past, the Chinese Communist Party had a set of succession mechanisms, early entry into the Politburo, governing important provinces, and clearly signaling succession. Hu Jintao followed this path, and so did Xi Jinping. But now you will find that this set of mechanisms has basically disappeared. What has replaced it? Two standards: loyalty and controllability. If the cousin claim is true, it means something very serious. The transmission of power has shifted from institutional selection to family screening. This is an extremely dangerous signal in the history of the Chinese Communist Party, because once it becomes family logic, the entire system moves in one direction. There is no longer any need to explain why him. It only needs to confirm whose person he is. If you truly see these three threads clearly today, you will realize one thing: this is no longer a matter of who is falling or who is rising. It is that this system has already lost its original mode of operation. When finance is taken over, the military-industrial complex is exposed at its foundation, and succession begins to lack transparency. It means that everything is being reshuffled. And in the Chinese Communist Party system, once the reshuffling begins, the first to be eliminated are often not the enemies, but one's own people. Welcome to share your views in the comments section. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us for more in-depth analysis. See you in the next episode.